The receipt of my life. What did I pay for? Welcome to a story that will change your perspective on life. Have you ever stopped to wonder about the price you're paying for the life you're living? Have you ever questioned whether the things you chase every day are truly worth what they're costing you? Today, I invite you to sit back, listen, and reflect as I take you on a journey, one that reveals the hidden sacrifices we make without even realizing it. This is not just a story. It's a mirror that reflects the choices we make, the opportunities we ignore, and the price we unknowingly pay for success, pride, and unforgiveness. But most importantly, this story carries a message, one that reminds us that while we spend so much of our lives chasing temporary things, there is a gift freely given that we often overlook. So, open your heart, open your mind, and ask yourself, what have you been paying for? Let's begin.
I never imagined that a day would come when I would hold something like this in my hands, a receipt that detailed the entire journey of my life. At first glance, I assumed it was some kind of mistake or a cruel joke, but as my eyes traced the printed words, an unsettling feeling settled deep within me. The longer I stared at it, the more my heart pounded in my chest, and my hands, usually steady, began to tremble with an unshakable sense of dread. The words on this strange, otherworldly document weren't just meaningless lines of text. They were a mirror reflecting everything I had ever done, everything I had ever pursued, and every choice I had ever made. Each entry detailed something I had paid for, not with money, but with the very essence of my existence. And for the first time in my life, I was forced to ask myself, what was the true cost of everything I had chased? As I read further, a heavy silence surrounded me, filling the air with an unbearable weight of realization. The paper held a lifetime of transactions, each one etched with painful truth, and yet, until this very moment, I had never stopped to consider what I had truly been spending. I inhaled deeply, my chest rising and falling with the weight of the memories flooding my mind, and I prepared myself to face the truth that I had been avoiding for so long. The cost of success, the very first thing on the receipt, caught my attention, and as my eyes focused on the carefully typed words, I felt an overwhelming rush of emotions surge through me. Success, paid with countless sleepless nights, years of sacrificed rest, and an endless stream of missed family moments. A sharp pain spread through my chest as I leaned back in my chair, allowing those words to settle within me like a cold blade cutting through flesh. Success. It was the one thing I had relentlessly pursued for as long as I could remember, the one goal that had consumed my every waking thought. I had convinced myself that success was the ultimate prize, the one thing that would make my life meaningful, the one thing that would give me the respect and admiration I so desperately craved. And so, I worked, while others slept soundly in their beds. I was awake, burning the midnight oil, pushing myself beyond my limits. While my friends laughed and created precious memories together, I sat alone, buried under piles of work, convinced that their joy was a distraction that I couldn't afford. While my wife and children longed for my presence, I reassured them that everything I was doing was for them, but was it really? I had told myself that all my sacrifices were noble, that the endless hours, the stress, the exhaustion, they were all necessary for the future I was building. But what kind of future was I truly creating if the people I loved the most were no longer a part of it? The reality was that my obsession with success had come at a devastating price. I had missed my son's first steps. I had been absent for my daughter's birthdays year after year. My wife had spent nights alone, waiting for me to come home, only to watch me collapse into bed too tired to even speak. I had built an empire. I had made a name for myself. And yet, as I looked around, all I saw was emptiness. I had traded love for ambition. I had sacrificed my family on the altar of success. And now, the echoes of the past haunted me, whispering the painful truth that I had refused to acknowledge for so long. The price of pride forced my eyes back onto the receipt, and the next entry made my stomach twist into knots. Friendships lost, paid with ego, arrogance, and the inability to listen. A heavy sigh escaped my lips as I leaned forward, gripping the edge of the table. Once upon a time, I had friends, real friends, people who had stood by me when I had nothing, who had believed in me even when I had doubted myself. They had laughed with me in my happiest moments, and they had supported me during my darkest days. But then, success came, and with it, my pride grew, poisoning everything in its path. I began to see myself as someone above them, someone who no longer needed their company or their advice. When they offered guidance, I dismissed it. When they voiced concerns, I took it as an insult. I saw their words as an attack on my intelligence, an attempt to hold me back from achieving my greatness. And so, one by one, they left. Not because they had changed, but because I had pushed them away. At the time, I didn't care. I convinced myself that I was simply outgrowing them, that I was moving forward while they remained stuck in their old ways. But looking at this receipt now, I understood the truth. I had not outgrown them, I had abandoned them. And now, I sat alone, drowning in the silence of my own making, wishing that I could turn back time and fix what I had so recklessly destroyed. The weight of unforgiveness, my fingers trembled as I continued reading, and what I saw next sent a chill down my spine. Peace, paid with years of bitterness, grudges, and the refusal to forgive. I closed my eyes, allowing the words to seep into my soul. Forgiveness had never come easy to me. I held on to offenses like a warrior clutching a sword, refusing to let go, refusing to surrender. If someone wronged me, I made sure they felt my silence, my distance, my unshakable grudge. I convinced myself that by holding on to the pain, I was somehow protecting myself, ensuring that no one would ever hurt me again. But in reality, I had been the only one suffering. The people I resented had long moved on with their lives, while I remained trapped in a prison of my own making, weighed down by chains of anger and regret. Unforgiveness had robbed me of peace. It had poisoned my heart, leaving me hollow and exhausted. And now, as I faced the reality of my choices, I realized that the only person I had truly punished was myself. The free gift I ignored. With a deep breath, I forced myself to read the final line. God's grace, given freely, but constantly rejected. Tears welled up in my eyes as my grip on the receipt tightened. God had always been there, waiting for me, reaching out to me, whispering his love into my heart, but I had ignored him. I had told myself that I would seek him later, that I would turn to him when I had time, but time was never promised. And now, as I stood at the edge of eternity, I realized the most painful truth of all. I had spent my entire life paying for things that didn't matter, and the one thing that was truly free, the gift of salvation, I had never accepted. I looked down at the receipt one last time, my heart pounding, my vision blurred with regret, and in that moment, I knew the price I had paid was far too high.
I want to sincerely thank you for taking the time to watch this story. I hope it has touched your heart, made you reflect, and opened your eyes to the unseen costs of the choices we make every day. Life moves fast, and too often, we spend our days chasing things that leave us empty, sacrificing what truly matters without even realizing it. But it's never too late to make a change, to realign our priorities, and to accept the one gift that costs us nothing but gives us everything, God's grace. If this story has blessed you, I encourage you to share it with someone who needs to hear this message. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more life-changing content. Once again, thank you for watching. May you walk in wisdom, make the right choices, and never lose sight of what truly matters. See you in the next video.